I was watching a video with Nipsey Hussle, and he broke it down so dope. He was just talking about how when he was really involved in gangs and he was out there looking for ops, looking for the enemy, he broke it down. What I'm looking for a dude that's wearing this, standing like this, talking like this. He's in this area. Like, the video's up there. You can look it up. It was an interview that he did with Hot 97. And I used to show that to my students. And I said, and it was interesting because they said the same thing. There's like, man, if I heard a cop saying the exact same thing, I would think he was being racist.
Brothers and sisters! Brothers and sisters! I don't know what this world is coming to.
You're listening to the Black and Blue Podcast, a discussion and celebration of the roles of African Americans and other minorities in U.S. law enforcement. Your host on the Black and Blue Podcast is Dale Peters, a law enforcement professional with over 20 years experience in the business. Hop on board this Black and Blue train of interviews, current events, and pop culture conversations. So get ready. The Black and Blue Podcast is coming at you right now. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Black and Blue Podcast. How you doing out there? My name is Dale. I'm the host. Thank you for joining me on this episode here today. I love, like I say all the time, I probably mention it way more than I need to, but I'm a DJ, as you can tell, as you've heard, off duty. So I love music, all sorts of music, but my bread and butter is R&B and hip hop. And today's guest today is no exception. Not only is he a police officer with 19 years, that's right, 19 years with the Sacramento, California Police Department. He is also a hip-hop artist. Everybody, please help me welcome in Mr. Filmore Graham. What is going on, big dog?
Hey, thanks for the applause. I thought I was going to have to make it myself.
Yes. Well, the applause, I tell everybody, you see all these folks behind me here. We got my boys, Barack Obama, we got Will Smith, the Green Lantern, Muhammad Ali, Storm. They all applauding for you. I'll break you back there right there. We got Ice Cube and Eazy-E and Tupac and Biggie. Of course, we got Prince, and we got Prince Akeem and Simi. From the
is that Venom or Spider-Man? Who is that right there?
Let's see what we got. Let me bring that back on. Right here on my right shoulder, right here, that's Black Lightning, and then over here on this side. On that side right there, that's my man Chadwick Boseman. You know how that is, Black Panther.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Wakanda forever. And so so that's what I do. Yeah, so I'm a kind of comic nerd there, but sports and music and all that, I do it all. I'm eclectic, just like you are, my brother. Welcome to the show. How you doing out there in Sacramento?
I'm good, man. I'm doing really well. Having a good time.
Absolutely. So I told everybody you got 19 years on as a Sacramento police officer.
Just under 19 years. It'll be
just under
19 years. Yeah, just under 19 years. But came out here to Sacramento after I got out the military and had no intention of staying here, past going to school. But, I got tricked into getting married and stuff like that. So.
You better not say that. You better take that back. Rewind that. We will edit that out. You got tricked into getting married.
Hey, she tricked me, man. She tricked me.
Yeah, you were happily married, though. Happily married. Behind every great man.
I'm gonna say that on camera. I'm happily married.
Yes, you are.
She could probably hear me. So if the screen go black, call the police.
Yeah, we know exactly what's happening there. So, what branch were you in when you were in the military?
I was in the Navy, so I was stationed overseas on the USS Independence as an aircraft carrier. I was a avionics technician, and that's what I really thought I was going to do. I really wanted to, work in electronics, some type of electronics technology. I actually did wind up doing that when I got out. I went to school and I started working for the local telephone company here when they brought broadband internet to California. So there was originally 12 technicians when they rolled out broadband internet in California, and I was actually one of the 12.
Okay. And then what was that course correction?
Man, actually, it's funny because the course correction had a lot to do with hip hop.
Okay.
I started going to church, when I was probably about 28 years old, and it just really changed the course of my life. It gave me a want to kind of do something different. And so about that same time, what happened was I started, I've been rapping like since I was young. And what happened was we got hooked up with a group in the Bay Area here in California. In the Bay, I'm from Sacramento, but we got hooked up with a label in the Bay Area, and myself and several other people that were in the church that were rapping. And then when that deal fell through, my partner, who was a producer, and myself, he was just like, "Yo, we got the equipment. Let's just put out an album." And I really had no idea of what that meant to put out an album. I mean, I'm a hip hop head and I'm just a fan, but before that, it was just battling and running around and stuff. But when I put the album out, then I learned about distribution. I learned about promoting for shows, and next thing I know, we were traveling all over the state and different states performing like nonstop. And so what happened was, I started out, very into Christian hip hop, and I realized very quickly, like people listen to your words, right?
Yep.
It's not just entertainment. Not in that realm. It's not just entertainment. Like when a kid hears you say, "Hey, I come from a home where there was domestic violence, and this is what faith brought me out of," and things of that nature. Like they want to know because they're looking for the same thing.
Yeah.
And so, in a nutshell, not a nutshell because I've been talking for 20 minutes, but that mindset change, the music as a ministry, that's what really drove me to want to find something else, and ultimately how I came to be a police officer.
Okay. And then when you were in hip hop, well, you still are, but when you first started out in hip hop, was it always Christian rap, or was it you're trying to find your genre, or how did that work out for you?
I mean, when I was just a fan, when I was just somebody, I'm still just a fan, but when I was just spitting, it was just battles like since high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember when I was in the military, like we would go all over the world, and like there was cats on the ship because there's like 5,000 people on an aircraft carrier. So we had, I grew up in New York, and then I lived in Miami. We had people from LA and all over, and eventually people find out you can rap, and cats want to try you. So
Right.
and then it got to where, we would pull up in different ports, and we'd meet up and we'd battle. And then we were in Japan. There was a huge culture in Japan, so there was always shows. There was always opportunities to get on the stage and rock. And but there was no Christ in it at that point. I was just wilding out, partying. The Christ-centered lyrics didn't come till later.
Yeah. Well, does that kind of make it? Let's get into that a little bit. Does that being Christ-centered lyrics, does that make it kind of tough to write, to actually make serious topics, not serious topics, but certain topics, a whole range of topics when they're all Christ-centered? I mean, can you do, as a Christian rapper, can you do a track about just partying? Can you do that?
If you're okay, number one, it depends on what type of hip hop artist you are.
Okay.
Right? So if you are somebody that's out there and you're in it for the commerce, then you're going to do whatever appeals, right?
Yeah.
If you're like a conscious head or something like that, your message is going to be centered around your experience more authentically, right? So therefore, for me as a Christian, I didn't have to search for it. I basically just talked about my life. You know what I mean? And so that was easy. And then, at the end of the day, like I'm hard. Like I'm a really good writer. I promised I told some people, like, I'm leaving humility in 2020. In 2021, I'm calling it like it is. Like I'm a really good writer.
All right.
Right. And so it's easy for me to relate my experience, you know, through music. I don't have to force it. I just talk about me. On this new album I actually have a song on there called Problems. And, you know, going back to your question, like that whole song is about me being the center of my problems. And for me, like, you know, back when I was single and back when I was partying and stuff, like, you know, women were my issue. So that whole song is about how the atmosphere that led to so many of my problems, you know, at that time in my life, and it's called Problems. So if you listen to it at first glance, it just sounds like I'm talking about getting drunk and, you know, partying. But when you peel it back and you listen, you're like, I'm struggling with what's going on.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and a lot of people relate to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're the problem. I was listening to there was a minister that I was listening to, and he was saying how when you really look back at it, you're 100% involved in all the bad decisions in your life.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, it's if you're truthful, it should be easy to write about, you know, those type of things.
Absolutely. And you got a new project you were just talking about that Problems is on. What's the name of this new project?
The name of the project is called Deep Magic. That's an ode to the C.S. Lewis books. You know, a lot of people know it from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but Deep Magic is in the C.S. Lewis universe, you know, especially around that whole, you know, the Book of Narnia series. He has the backdrop of that series is the gospel of Christ. So Aslan, the lion, is, you know, he's a Jesus archetype. You know, he had to sacrifice himself to save, you know, the realm, and then he comes back to life and then, you know, regains his throne again. Well, in that whole world, the gospel is represented by this written law called the deep magic. And so that's where the inspiration for the album title comes from.
Okay. All right. I got you there. Let's take a listen to Problems real quick, and you can kind of walk us through while we listen.
All right.
Okay.
I'm about to be a problem.
I'm about to be a problem.
Hey, I'm about to be a problem.
Yeah, I'm about to be a problem.
Yeah, I'm about to be a problem.
I'm about to be a problem.
I'm about to be a problem.
Yeah, I'm about to be a problem.
One shot down to let the vibe in. Two shots down, I'm vibing. Third shot, I'm on the dance floor grinding. Bad gal said she loved dirty whining. Devil on my left said dive in. Ain't thinking about tomorrow like my last name Winans. Nah, I'm about to be a
So you got producers that, or do you write your own music, or how's that working for you?
I have several producers that I work with, although on this album, I really actually just did a lot of internet searching. I mean, I would get on the internet for hours trying to find production. And the hard part about finding the production is just finding something that's original, not something that is just, you know, another form or another type of what you already hear, you know?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's a little different sound there.
Baby, take this for the energy.
told her I ain't really on that
And who's the young lady on the track?
That is a singer that I know here in Sacramento. Her name is Bianca.
Okay.
I'm about to be a problem.
Like that.
So the whole preface is it's something that we could all relate to, right? It's I'm out. I already know what jumps off when I start drinking and there's women involved. You know, I already know where my thought process is going. And so many times we could be in that situation and you know, we know it's not going to end well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you just, most people, like, you just know certain things are just not going to end well. I mean, like, we're cops, you know, half the people we know been divorced and it didn't
No
sneak
doubt.
up on anybody. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Let's just keep it 100. Those things don't sneak up on you. You see things coming and, you know, sometimes you will, I was listening to a podcast, and the speaker was talking about how it's interesting that you never have to talk yourself into doing something that you believe is the right thing to do. It's always like when you're getting ready to step into some waters that you probably shouldn't find yourself in, you start making excuses and you start kind of soft pedaling it. And then, it's kind of like that whole, that analogy of, if you put a frog in cold water and let it slow boil, he'll sit there and die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you just throw him in hot water, he's going to recognize it. But, a lot of times for us, we see things coming, but the water is cool. So it feels good.
Yeah.
But then as all the consequences and things start heating it up, you don't realize. And then by the time you recognize, yo, it's mad hot in here, I'm cooked.
Yeah.
You cooked already.
You cooked already. You cooked already.
So that
it's knowledge right there. Knowledge right there.
That song that's basically what it is. Is this young brother or this cat is, it's me, is he sees it coming and he's like, man, I already know. But then in the bridge, right before the chorus, he says, must have been the Hennessy. It's like I'm already making excuses for it. So
all right. So how's this hip hop working out with you being a cop as well on the flip side? I see that you kind of use that towards your advantage, working as an officer. How's that working for you over there?
So earlier in my career, we had a different administration. They weren't super embracing of me being out there. So I really didn't promote it, to be honest with you. I came on in 2002. The first album I put out was in like 2001 or whatever. And then, so I kind of that was like ministry unto myself. That was, that had nothing to do with the department. By the time I started writing the second album, a lot of the things that I saw on the street became part of what I was talking about, because I grew up in the hood, but my mom's kept me out of a lot of stuff. I never sold dope. I never ran the streets like that. I was never involved in gangs. I didn't know what drug abuse was in my family until much later. You know what I mean? When I got married, there were members of my wife's family. And so all these experiences kind of came in the midst of when I started working and I started, really putting the things that I saw on a daily basis into some of the music. So that kind of changed. There was a little bit more of an edge because I could humanize it. You know what I mean? Like I can humanize it. These weren't just, these these are not animals. These are not crazy people. These are hurting people, under very crazy circumstances and brings out the worst in some people. You know what I mean? And I was very thankful to be in this position because, prior to that, things were very black and white for me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And, because I'm like, well, I grew up poor, I grew up broke, I never did this, I never did this. What was the deal? And, for me, I realized, and I really thank God for my mom, because my mom really, she really kept me out of a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? And so,
yes.
But then I see young people that are in my same exact situation and they don't have that guidance, right? They don't have it. Or they have, this is what I've seen a lot of. You see young people who's, they're the people that are in their life are telling them one thing, but doing something else. So then there's no power. Yeah. Right. So like for me, my mom was an example. She was like, no, I'm going to work my butt off. I'm going to walk this path and that's it. Like if I don't have, I just don't have it. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to compromise myself. And, so yeah, when I got out on the street and I really started seeing, the origins of so many things, it got into my writing. And then now lately we have a different administration that's very open to what I'm doing. We started, we did a rap video for recruiting, it brought in like 30% more applications. It increased the website traffic by 50%, something like 90,000 views. I was on, TV stations all across the country. And so that embrace from my department, opened up a lot of things to us. But the thing that initially kind of broke it open for me back back when I first came on, was the fact that one of my songs got put on a compilation, and that compilation got nominated for a Grammy. And then it was like, it was a wrap after that. Then it was like, hey, the news stations here, hey, can we come ride with you? And the department's like, you're famous? I'm like, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah.
So yeah.
That's what's up.
I'm grateful to be able to use it all, to use it all for God's glory in some way, shape, form, or fashion.
Absolutely. And we have that video. Let's take a look at it real quick, and you can walk us through everything that was going on here. Let's check this out.
Montage is just different areas of the city.
I'll be the difference they need me to be. Difference I'm not see. Or follow, I'm taking the lead. I'll be the difference they need me to be. Difference they need me to see. Or follow, I'm taking the lead.
And the whole storyline behind the video is this young man that you see right here. He's working in a coffee shop. And at some point in the video, he kind of sees like a domestic violence situation going down. And in his head, he's wishing, man, like, I wish I could do something about it. And then, the big reveal at the end, you see a police car roll up, and then it's actually him in the patrol car coming to intervene. And the whole point is, our motto that our chief instituted was be the difference. So it's really about, you get an opportunity to be injected into so many different situations, and whatever experiences you bring to the job, whatever sensibilities you bring to the job, you get to be the difference in that situation.
Absolutely. Yeah. I like that groove too, that track. Who came up with that track?
That is a young brother here in Sacramento named Mark Stevie.
Yeah. I like that. I like that.
We sat right here in this office, and he brought his little machine over, and we made the beat and wrote it out.
Yeah. So I like how you did that. And you're recruiting now, right? And you said that kind of helps.
I'm the recruiter right now. Yep.
That kind of helped out with the public, with the applicants coming in, seeing your administration embracing this. This Chief Hahn right now is he contemplating retirement anytime soon? I mean, what's the next administration going to think about this sort of stuff?
I don't even want to think about him not being here. I mean, he is a very stand-up dude. He's one of those people that you meet that he lives what he says. You know what I mean? And he is extremely aware of this dichotomy, this black and blue, and then especially being in leadership. You know what I'm saying? He understands that he's everyone's chief. Number one, he's not here to serve. He's not here to serve the department's interests. He's here to serve the interests of the public. And he does what he feels, and he says what he feels is necessary in order to promote that idea, which is, I think, why he came up with this whole Be the Difference campaign and motto. Yeah,
that's good stuff. And you helping out. Are there other officers in the department that are kind of helping out doing that same sort of thing, other than, I know rapping is your forte, but what other officers are doing different stuff?
I mean, we have a lot of officers that are really involved in, so like we have a community outreach group. We have a community outreach unit, and some of the officers that work there, and then some of the officers that just work in the department work with them. They do a know your rights class, for young people, from middle school on up to high school. We're extremely active in the high schools here. We have 5 magnet.
Now, when you say know your rights, what does that entail? That curriculum, what is that about?
So basically, what that is understanding police interactions, right? So understanding why police contact you in certain ways and in certain situations, what their mindset is, what protections you have and recourse if you feel as though you've been wronged during that interaction. But most importantly, really understanding how to succeed in that interaction. And I know I don't want to say just to survive, but actually how to engage that officer in a way that's going to, number one, minimize your contact, right? Establish some type of relationship, with that officer, because for the most part, if you're in that neighborhood or you live in that area, you're going, you may see that person again. So, we really want young people to understand, like, hey, this is what's going on. This is the lens that police officers are going to use. These are the actions that they can take and that they cannot take. So now, number one, it's never going to benefit you to, have a sidewalk court. That's never going to benefit you.
Right.
But
Right.
if you understand, probable cause, reasonable suspicion, the difference between detentions, consensual encounters, and all those things, you can really judge and you can really, put a much better scalpel to that situation other than your emotion, right? Because nothing good comes out of it.
Yeah.
So after that interaction, you now have a set of tools to where you can really say, let me analyze what just happened here. Do I need to make a complaint? How do I make a complaint? You know what I mean? Who do I want to get to come along with me and hold my hand while I do this? How do I make sure that this gets looked into the correct way? This goes far beyond, being upset, jumping on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and, saying FTP. Like, this is really about being able to analyze the situation and then, taking the correct steps, to correct, if there was inconsistent behavior or just straight up abhorrent behavior, we need to figure out how to get that fixed.
Yeah, that's really progressive. You wouldn't think most of the law enforcement departments would actually be the ones educating the public on that. It's usually, some public rights group or some activist group or something like that. But, for an actual police department to educate the public on that sort of thing, that's really progressive. That's interesting. I like that.
And it's valuable because I've actually sat in a class before, and I heard a speaker talking. I think they even used the same name. It was years ago, about know your rights and what to do when a police officer contacts you and those type of things. And I'm like, the things that they were saying just didn't even match up. Like, that's not correct. Like, you're giving people bad information, that could get them hurt, could get them arrested for no reason. It's a very, very fine line. And I feel like it's impossible. I'm going to say this, it's going to sound stupid. It's impossible to get emotion out of it, but man, we've got to figure out a way to overcome emotion in some certain situations and learn how to respond rather than react.
Yeah, absolutely. And in our community, at the forefront of it, we need to be able to know how to, first of all, know what the police should and shouldn't be doing, like you said, and know how we should react. I've had these discussions with people as well as why should the public be the ones to have to be the ones to be professional and be calm and be the ones that have to calm down the police. The police they should be hired to know to be calm and be professional. But, those are the times that we live in. And if both sides can get that, then, we'll get out of that interaction without any damage. But, it's unfortunate that, the public has to know, they got to be calm too.
Facts. It's so funny. I was having a conversation with someone. We were talking about how the public is inundated by cameras right now.
Yeah. Yep.
And I was telling somebody, I was like, it's interesting. With the advent of YouTube, I think it was like 2007 or something like that, or whatever it was. This is still relatively new, right? Still relatively new.
Mm-hmm.
The body cameras are definitely new. The in-car dash cams being made public, still pretty new, right? And now the public is dealing with what I call the PTSD of seeing these things all the time, right? So now you, as a member of the public, you're experiencing PTSD. So even if you've never actually had a run-in with a police officer, you have had it. You've experienced it because you've seen it a million times, and you're acting accordingly, right?
Right.
There's an emotional buy-in immediately. As soon as them lights come on behind you, you feel a way, right? All right, so you a little bit deeper dive. When I came on the department in 2002, I think at that time probably the only thing that was out in the public was cops. Right? This is before YouTube, 2002, before YouTube.
The show Cops, yeah.
Yeah. So before YouTube, when I came on in 2002, there was no YouTube. There was no camera phones. Camera phones came out like a year later, literally like a year later. We had just the cameras, the little, 10 pixel things, not even video yet. I'll never forget this. And I talk about this in some of the classes that I teach. I remember sitting in the academy and we watched hours of dash cam videos. Now, back then, at that time, dash cam videos were not, the public didn't see those. But I realized very quickly, police officers have been watching these videos for years. And so we, in our training, we were seeing what happens when you don't control somebody's hands in an interaction. What happens when you allow somebody to move freely around their vehicle on a traffic stop? And at that time, I remember this very vividly, like we were the only ones seeing that. So now you have all these officers who in their training, they have that almost like they've experienced it, even if they haven't experienced it yet. Now, the experienced officers, they've had it firsthand. For me, let's say for me, 2002, stepping out on the street the first time, not having witnessed any of those videos, I wouldn't have an issue with somebody having their hands in their pocket because I didn't realize how quickly somebody can produce a weapon.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
How quickly you can be overtaken, how quickly you can be disarmed, how the reason that you're always a step behind because you don't know what that person is going to do. And so I feel like, when I talk to people, I let them be very aware. I'm like the same conditioning that we have now that the general public has in their, distrust of, police action and things of that nature. Like police have had this for a long time as far as the actual dangers of not controlling a situation from the jump, understanding that if I don't take control of this situation right away, my life is in jeopardy. And at that point, I'm not super concerned with, how you feel about it at the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's fascinating stuff. It's scary stuff, but it's very necessary to discuss.
Yeah, it is. It is. But, on the flip side, I always got to talk about on the flip side, seeing these interactions, the public seeing these interactions with the police, a lot of times they still don't understand that, hey, why can't I just be doing what I need to do? Why can't I have my hands in my pocket? I don't have a gun. I don't care that you don't know that I don't have a gun. That's your problem, but I don't have a gun. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, when we're on these contacts, and it is what it is. But sometimes that's what raises these levels of interaction because people don't understand that, hey, let us just get through this contact, and then you'll be on your way, and I'll be on my way. But if it keeps escalating, then that's not good for either one of us. Right.
There's so many things. I teach a class called Implicit Bias, and I talk about, just the implicit biases that we all have. Like, it's scientific. This is not an emotion, we all have them. And the more you're in an atmosphere, the more biases you develop.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so you have to teach the officers, hey, are you criminally profiling right now, or are you profiling based on race and whatever bias you have.
Sure.
Yet you saw what you saw, but why did you see it? Like, why were you paying more attention to that person?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying it didn't happen, and I'm not saying that your criminal profile was incorrect because you saw a set of actions that, from your experience and training, told you that X, Y, and Z was going to happen. Yeah, you did see that, but why are you only seeing it, in the two-door Honda Civic at 2:00 in the morning? How come you're only seeing it?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that becomes an issue.
Well, because at 2:00 in the morning, the only people out is cops and crooks. That's why.
Right. Or people going to jackpot,
Because I know at 2:00 in the morning, if I don't have to be working, I'm in the bed.
Right, man. I was watching a video with Nipsey Hussle, and he broke it down so dope. He was just talking about how when he was really involved in gangs and he was out there looking for ops, looking for the enemy. He broke it down. What I'm looking for a dude that's wearing this, standing like this, talking like this. He's in this area. Like, the video's up there. You can look it up. It was an interview that he did with Hot 97. And I used to show that to my students. And I said, and it was interesting because they said the same thing. There's like, man, if I heard a cop saying the exact same thing, I would think he was being racist.
Right. Yep.
Right. But it's the exact same thing that Nipsey was talking about that he was looking for. And he said, I'm looking for that because that's my experience.
Yeah.
From being in the street.
And there's a
heat on it. And he even said, he goes, if I'm looking, what did he say? Well, I want to use this exact term. He said, if I'm on a mission, I'm bypassing the dude in the polo and the khaki pants.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bypassing this kid. And he started giving all these, clothing description. He goes, I'm bypassing that dude. And then he goes, the scary part, he goes, I'm looking for the dude that looks like me.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, man. I was like, that's powerful insight, to take with you. But, I feel like, music for me and the teaching and the music for me is a way to really kind of put things like that out and bring light to it. You know what I mean?
How's your music being received out there in the hip hop community?
Man, so I was one of the first artists in Sacramento that was, a Christian hip hop artist, but I performed in secular venues. Like I was on, I would open for we had a very healthy local hip hop scene. And, I was in lineups, in bars, clubs, concerts, opening for people that were not Christian. I was accepted in that community because I was truthful.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We have a local newspaper here, and they have, so it's the Sacramento area. It's Sacramento News and Review. I think they have news and reviews in all different cities in California.
Okay.
Sacramento News and Review. They have every year they would have what's called the Sacramento Area News, Sacramento Area Music Awards. They call them Sammys. And probably about 3 years in a row, I got nominated for Best Hip Hop Artist, and there was no Christian genre. It was just hip hop. So just from the work that I was putting in the area, I was respected, and I've been featured on more secular artists projects than I have Christian artists.
That's what's up. And the new project, tell me another track here we could check out here. You give us a little preview here for the audience. What's another one we could drop here for you?
Insightful, or you want something hot? Like, what do you want?
You tell me, man. This is your track. This is your album, and
okay.
Give us something hot. Give us something hot.
Oh, something hot. All right. Well, let's look at. There's a track called "I'm Not Your Boy," but you got to fast forward a little bit because I got my feature first, and then I'm second. So,
okay, let's listen to "I'm Not Your Boy."
You too bogus. Wow. You too bogus. Yeah. You too bogus. Yeah. You too bogus. Man.
So how far in we need to go?
You fast forward like 50-something seconds or whatever it is, and then you'll get to the chorus again, and then I'll be there right after. So this kid actually rapping right now. He's the one that made the beat for the "I Be the Difference" song.
Okay, so you guys kept in touch and kept them projects going together.
He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
So this song here is just basically about really just being your own person and really kind of fighting against that group think and group speech. It's like, no, I'm not your boy. Like, I'm not here to follow you. You know what I mean? So here comes my verse.
Look, I'm not your boy, I'm chasing peace, you too much drama. Test my blessing, leave you bent up like a comma. Sorry, father, I'm still dealing with my childhood drama. Trying to get this weight up off my shoulder, praying in the sauna. I've been unfaithful like Rihanna. Damaged my persona off that brown and marijuana. I don't know what's worse for me, hangovers or the karma. Closest thing to some Nirvana, built some Dolce and Gabbana. I fought my way up out the matrix, boy, I've been unplugged. I'm not your mama, sister, baby, please don't call me cuz. Till I see heaven, keep that 40 calip in the glove. This snubby tucked under my gut player, I'm soldiered up, I had enough. I ain't politically correct. This world don't give me joy, so I can critically object. I respect your choices, every pronoun get respect. But see this cross around my neck, it don't politically connect. I'm not your boy.
Hey, okay. I like that.
And then I think the last track is actually one that I'm pretty proud of, but it's called "All the Smoke in America," and it really, it's just been so tense over the this last election cycle was just crazy.
Yes, indeed.
And I'm a firm believer in I understand racism is real. I understand systemic racism is real, but I'm utterly of the opinion that it all comes down to money and control of wealth. And so I kind of put that in a nutshell in this song. I'm like, man, all the smoke in America really comes down to have and have nots and people that want to keep, you know what I mean? And people that want to get more. Like that's really what it's all about. And
no doubt.
Yeah, that's all the smoke in America.
Let's check out a little bit of that. All the smoke.
Smoke.
It sounded like it was in a club.
Smoke, gather round, y'all. It's going down, y'all. EBTs and black cards all around, y'all. Stocks rise, stocks fall like round ball. All the smoke in America surround y'all. Some pray, others praying for your downfall. Some starve, others trying to knock the pounds off. If you a king, someone trying to knock your crown off. All the smoke in America surround y'all. Smoke. Welcome to America. Leaders doing 211s, waving replicas. I feel all these jokers need an enema. We wrestling with powers that don't show up on their retina. Apex predator, back up on my exodus. Half 100-second book like it's Exodus. Criminal mind, cause we take if they ain't letting us. The present is a gift, so we ain't tripping who ahead of us. People don't believe, that's why heaven for the rest of us. Right or left don't matter, God to hell was ambidextrous.
Yeah, you got lyrics. You got bars.
If you listen to the second verse, you realize just how influenced I was by the moment.
Yeah, you got bars. And speaking of the moment, we all went through a whole bunch in 2020. How did all that affect you guys up there in Sacramento? I'm talking about BLM, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, everything that happened. How did that affect you guys up there?
It's been nonstop since the summer. We had the George Floyd protests were different. That was a whole different mindset. I don't know that I've ever seen people so collectively upset. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was something to where, even the most, conservative officers that, always have, something to say were like, yeah, that was just messed up. You know what I mean? There was just no getting around it,
Yep.
So it just made for an extremely tense situation. So we went through that for most of the summer. And then for us in Sacramento, being the capital, we've been dealing with a lot of the election cycle issues.
Yeah.
So standing between Antifa and Proud Boys, for the last 2 months has been an incredible strain on the economy here in the city. Half of our downtown is still boarded up right now. We got a lot of businesses that never reopened. So, between the protests and the election cycle and COVID, it's just been really hard, and it's just become really necessary to center yourself in something that's above the fray, and finding some strength internally, so that way you can still do your job. You can still go out there and serve people the way that you should. You know what I'm saying, and not have a
Yeah.
chip on your shoulder. So
Yeah.
and then not bring it home.
How did the George Floyd thing affect you as a black man, and then also as a police officer? That duality that the two of us, and all of us, men of color, women of color, work doing this job had to deal with.
For me, and this was the first thing I said the very first time I saw that video. I'm a very intuitive person, and when I watched the manner in which that officer conducted himself, it just didn't seem as though he had any respect for that person as a human being, and that was hurtful. You know what I mean? Like that was hurtful. There wasn't really that point where you can say, okay, he may have seen this, or he may have thought that, or it was a fast moving thing. It just seemed like he was just intent on, enforcing his will on that person far beyond, what was probably necessary. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
That's the way I saw it. And I think what it sparked was just a lot of rage with so many things that have been systemic in our society. That just became like indicative of like society with their knee in our neck. Like we just can't get ahead.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like we just can't get ahead. And so, I stood on those lines, and, I had the flashlights in my face, and, for hours at a time, and day after day after day after day after day, being out there. And it's hard, it's hard, recognizing that there's things that need to be done, you know what I'm saying? And then, you're standing on this side of the line, even though emotionally you may be like, man, I want to be over there too. I'm mad. I'm not,
Yeah.
I don't think I don't know that I've ever been someone who would protest. I've just never been that person for me. Like I would never see myself. I've just never been a real big group think kind of person. I've always been about what can I do one-on-one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so that's just where my sentiments are.
Yeah, yeah. I remember back when the Rodney King incident happened. I was in my 20s when that happened, and I just remember that feeling, because it wasn't just that. It was a whole multitude of things that happened back then. That was that Latasha Harlan's thing in Riverside. That was was at the store, the liquor store. Remember that liquor store owner killed that person.
On the East Coast, I have a whole nother set.
Yeah.
I have a whole nother set of things, that I was dealing with. I remember, the Sean Bell shooting, and things of that nature.
So it was, it was just those things. Yeah, just those range of emotions when they came down and said not guilty, in the Rodney King, because like I said, it was all those other things, and it's just like this past summer. George Floyd was just, the straw that broke the camel's back, because not only did we see that live when it happened, it was another straw on that back of things that we've been seeing and we've been dealing with. And then that was the one. That was the one.
And for me right now as a recruiter, like my big thing that I'm doing is I really want people, okay, because listen, you could write a million laws, we already have the Fourth Amendment, right?
Yeah.
We already have all these protections in the Constitution. The issue is the people that's interpreting it and the people that's bringing it forward. So, we just had, is it AB, 392 here in California and things of that nature, and all across the country, they're trying to change laws and change policy and procedure. But at the end of the day, you know, we need more people, you know,
Right.
and I'll say black people, or just people that grew up in certain neighborhoods, or people that just have different sensitivities, because we need to bring all these experiences to the badge. We have to. It can't just be this entire culture of, people
One side of it. Yep.
from one side policing people from this side, because I love, I say this in my recruiting, like, let's just say black. And I'm not sitting here saying that black officers are the key to changing everything. I think they're a big
Which
part
we're
of
not.
it, but really, huh?
Which we're not. We're not.
Right, I
Not
said,
the
but
only
really
key.
what it is, it's a thinking, right?
Yeah.
And so you start looking for people with good ideas. They're graduating from college. They can be whatever they want. They can go into business. They can take their talents and their experiences into anything, and saying to them, hey, you know what? This is a viable option for creating change. Like,
Yeah.
being in law enforcement is maybe it's not always going to be the person who all they did all their life was dream of being a cop, because maybe that person has different sensibilities.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying, at the end of the day, no matter what laws you write, it's all about people, right? And so
Agreed.
if you're that, you have more people in the roll call room, more people in the locker room bringing certain things to light, then that's where the difference is made. So, and it's not just black officers, it's just people who may not look at this profession as an opportunity to be a change agent. Like, we got to convince them, hey, there's some good you can do here, and there's some good that needs to be done here. So come on over.
Come on over. We need you. We need you.
Facts.
All right, my brother. I appreciate you for coming on and blessing us with your new tracks. Tell everybody how they can get that.
So February 25th, which is actually my birthday, it will be available on all platforms, iTunes, Spotify, all of that. I'm getting ready to shoot some video next week, and just look out for it. You can follow me at Israel Graham on Instagram. I don't have I do have a Snapchat, but I never use it. So just follow me on Instagram.
Come on, man. You got to get your Snapchat game going.
Brother, I don't know how many times.
Start doing that. What's that one dance they all doing now? The little bunny hop thing and all that.
Oh,
yeah. Nah.
Cool. I get my dance on Instagram. I just do it all on one thing.
All right, there you go. All right, brother. Before I let you go, though, you're not done yet. We got something we do here. This is called. This game is called Hip Hop or Not. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read you a group, and you tell me, is that a hip hop group or not? Easy, right? You're entrenched in the hip hop community. All you got to tell me is, are they hip hop or not? All right, you ready for this? Let's do it. Here's your first group. Souls of Mischief, hip hop or not?
93 Till Infinity, of course. They are Oakland's best.
Indeed, they are. Indeed, hip hop. All right. Off to a great start. Here's your next one here. Troop.
All I do is think. They are not hip hop.
They are not hip hop.
Eli Watson Brothers. That was not hip hop. Nope.
Straight R&B. You got that. Two for two. Here we go. Yeah. Your next one. 702.
That was a girl group. They are not hip hop.
They are not hip hop. Indeed. How about Poor Righteous Teachers?
Each one teach one. Righteousness, but like the selfish righteousness.
Yeah, you know it. They are straight hip hop. Yep, early 90s right there. Yep. How about Nice and Smooth? You know that one.
Sometimes I rhyme slow. Sometimes
I rhyme quick.
Yeah.
They are hip hop right there.
Do I get money for this? Because I feel like I'm smoking this right now.
You are? Okay. We get you something harder here. Come on, here we go. How about Main Source?
Oh man, let me see. Main source goes a little something like this. I'm looking at the front door. We fight
Yes,
every
indeed.
night. I got no closer. I reminisce with bliss of when we was closer. Come on, man.
That was my song right there. Large Professor right there.
Large Professor. One of the great producers in hip hop too.
Yeah, indeed. How about this one right here? LSG.
Nah, them singing dudes. That's Levert and isn't that Levert and somebody else?
Levert, Sweat, and Gill.
Yeah,
Gerald Levert, Keith Sweat, and Johnny Gill. Yeah, they are not hip hop.
Not at all.
Not at all. How about your next one here? How about 69 Boys?
Well, that's a trick question. They rap, but I don't know if I'll call them hip hop.
They were rappers. They're hip hop. All right. How about Rude Boys?
No, that was well, there's multiple Rude Boy groups because there was a reggae group that was Rude Boys. There was a hip hop group that was Rude Boys, and there was an R&B group that was Rude Boys because that bald-headed dude used to be in it.
We go say you were correct on that one. This is the R&B group, the Rude Boys.
Yeah.
How about Low Key?
Oh man.
Did I get one to trip you up?
Oh man, you got me on this one. I can't remember.
Take a stab at it, Low Key. Oh, you got that correct. Hey, you pulled that one out of thin air right there.
But here's the funny part. That album cover was in my head, but I couldn't remember.
Are you? That's what's up. How about this one here? Whistle.
Oh no, that's R&B.
First one wrong. They were hip hop. That was from the 80s. I had to throw the 80s in there to get you. We're called Whistle, and this is true. We love to do the things that we're not supposed to do. We're not talking about what we say. We're not talking about stealing or robbing. In fact, to keep it seriously, we only bugging. Remember bugging? Yeah.
You got me.
I got you on one. All right, how about Shy?
Definitely not.
Definitely not hip hop.
They didn't have their shirts on in none of their videos.
Nah. If ever I fall. No, I'm not going to try to sing it. And your last one here. How about Clips?
Oh, of course, that's hip hop. Virginia Beach. Yeah.
Definitely hip hop. You got more right than you got wrong.
Interestingly enough, this guy, Malice, he's a Christian artist now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why the group stopped recording. He's a minister and a Christian rap artist now.
I see. I knew that. That's why I threw that on there for you.
Okay.
We gonna call you. Yeah, we gonna call you the winner. Yeah, you killed that. Killed it. I got you with one now. I got you on one now.
Got me with one, yeah.
I got you with one. All right, brother. I appreciate you for coming on and espousing some knowledge and dropping the new tracks and all that. Tell everybody one more time where they can get that and when it's available.
February 25th, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, all the major platforms will have it. Please check it out.
Yeah, we'll do, brother. Stay safe up there. Wear your mask, wash your hands, all that good stuff. And we'll see you on the other side, brother.
Peace.
All right.
Stay black.
All right, hip hop heads, this episode is a wrap. I want to thank my guests on this episode, Sacramento, California police officer Filmore Graham, for joining me here today. My man, you a real one, and I wish you much success on that new album. And all of you watching and listening out there, be sure to pick up his new project, Deep Magic. He goes by the name Israel Graham when he's on the mic, so be sure to check that out. As far as this show's concerned, please make sure you like and subscribe to the Black and Blue Podcast YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. I'll be back in a mere 14 days with another stimulating guest. Same black time, same black channel. But till then, stay black and blue. I'll holler at you. Deuces.
HOD Entertainment presentation.